Welcome back to Midnight Tales, where we explore the horrors hiding in plain sight. I'm your host, and tonight we're diving into a story that might make you think twice about that device in your hand right now. Before we begin, if you enjoy spine-chilling stories that blur the line between fiction and reality, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Though after tonight's tale, you might want to think carefully about those notifications. Tonight's story is called The Last Notification, and it's about something we all carry with us every single day, something we trust implicitly, something that knows more about us than our closest friends and family. So dim the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't look at your phone until the story is over. Here we go. Sarah's phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m., the blue glow cutting through her darkened bedroom like a digital knife. She'd been trying to fall asleep for over an hour, her mind racing with tomorrow's presentation, but the notification sound was impossible to ignore. It was the same chirp that had been conditioning her responses for years, the Pavlovian bell of modern life. One new message. She squinted at the screen, expecting to see her friend Emma's name, or maybe a work email that couldn't wait until morning. Instead, she saw something that made her blood run cold. Unknown number. I can see you reading this. Sarah's thumb hovered over the message, her heart suddenly hammering against her ribs. She glanced toward her bedroom window, curtains drawn tight, just as they'd been when she went to bed. The rational part of her mind kicked in immediately. Spam message. Someone playing a prank. Maybe Emma using a new number to mess with her. She typed back quickly. Who is this? The response came instantly, as if the sender had been waiting with their fingers poised over the keyboard. Unknown number. Look up from your phone. Sarah's eyes darted upward involuntarily, scanning the familiar shadows of her bedroom. Her dresser sat silent in the corner, clothes draped over the chair where she'd left them. Everything was exactly as it should be. She was alone. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Good. Now look at your window. This time, Sarah didn't obey. Instead, she scrolled up to check the message thread, looking for any clue about who this might be. The conversation showed only 3 messages, all from tonight. No previous history, no contact information, just those 3 lines that were making her skin crawl. This is ridiculous, she thought. Someone's just trying to scare people randomly. She'd heard about these kinds of scams before. Send creepy messages to random numbers and see who responds. Feed off people's fear. But even as she rationalized it, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. The hairs on her arms stood up, and she pulled her blanket higher, as if cotton and polyester could protect her from invisible eyes. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm waiting. Sarah's finger moved to block the number, but something stopped her. What if this wasn't random? What if someone really was watching her? Blocking them wouldn't make them go away. It would just make them angry. She decided to call Emma. Even if it was almost midnight, Emma would understand. Emma would tell her she was being paranoid, would probably laugh about it, and Sarah would feel better. But when she tried to switch to her contacts, her phone froze. The screen remained locked on the message thread, unresponsive to her taps and swipes. She pressed the home button. Nothing. The power button. Nothing. Another message appeared. Unknown number. Don't try to call anyone. We're not finished talking. Now Sarah's hands were shaking. Phones didn't freeze like that on their own. Not when receiving text messages. Someone would need access to her phone to do that. Someone with technical skills. Someone who'd been planning this. She looked around her room again, this time more carefully. Her laptop sat closed on her desk. Had the charging light always been green? Her bedroom door was shut, just as she'd left it. But was that shadow underneath it darker than before? Unknown number. I've been watching you for a while, Sarah. Her name. They knew her name. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't random. This was personal. Someone had targeted her specifically, had somehow gotten her number, her name. The thought hit her like ice water. She instinctively tilted the phone away from her face, then realized how futile that was. If someone had hacked her phone, they'd already seen everything. They'd been seeing everything. Unknown number. That's right. I can see the fear in your eyes. You're starting to understand. Sarah dropped the phone onto her bed as if it had burned her. The screen faced up, its glow casting eerie shadows on the ceiling. She scrambled backward until her back hit the headboard, pulling her knees to her chest. How long had this been going on? Days? Weeks? She thought about all the times she'd used her phone in private moments, getting dressed, crying after bad days, talking to herself in the mirror. Had someone been watching all of it? The phone buzzed against her mattress, but she didn't reach for it. She couldn't. The very device that had become an extension of herself, that held her entire life, had become the enemy. But curiosity and fear warred in her chest, and fear was losing. She needed to know what the message said. Slowly she leaned forward and tilted the phone just enough to read the screen. Unknown number. I know you're scared, but I'm not going to hurt you. I just want you to understand how vulnerable you are, how vulnerable we all are. This was different, less threatening, almost educational. Unknown number. You give us access to everything, Sarah. Your location, your conversations, your photos, your face, your voice. You carry a surveillance device everywhere you go, and you pay for the privilege. Sarah's fear began to mix with confusion. This sounded less like a stalker, and more like someone making a point, but the fear was still there, still real, because whether this was a personal threat or a lesson, someone had still invaded her privacy in the most intimate way possible. Unknown number. Check your app permissions, Sarah. Look at what you've agreed to. Against her better judgment, Sarah picked up the phone. Her hands were still shaking, but curiosity was overtaking fear. She navigated to her settings, looking at the permissions she'd granted to various apps over the years. The list was staggering. Camera access, 23 apps. Microphone access, 31 apps. Location access, 18 apps. Contact access, 12 apps. She'd agreed to all of it without thinking, clicking accept on pop-up after pop-up, eager to get to the app's features without reading the fine print. A new message appeared immediately after. Unknown number. I'm not in your room, Sarah. I don't need to be. You invited me in years ago. Sarah looked around her room one more time, but now everything felt different. Her phone, her laptop, even her smart TV in the living room. They were all potential windows for anyone with the right knowledge and wrong intentions. Unknown number. I'm going to disconnect now. But remember this feeling, Sarah. Remember how helpless you felt, how violated, because this is what privacy invasion feels like, and it's happening to millions of people every day. Most of them just don't know it. Another message popped up. Unknown number. Change your passwords. Review your permissions. Cover your cameras. And maybe, just maybe, put the phone down once in a while. The final message appeared as Sarah watched. Unknown number. Sweet dreams. I hope you sleep well, knowing I could have been anyone. And then, as suddenly as it had started, her phone returned to normal. The home screen appeared, responsive to her touch. The message thread was gone entirely, as if it had never existed. Even her message history showed no record of the conversation. Sarah sat in the darkness, her phone now face down on the nightstand, her mind racing. She thought about getting up to check her locks, to cover her laptop camera, to do something tangible to feel safer. But the damage was already done. The real horror wasn't that someone had watched her. It was the realization that in today's world, someone always could be. Every device was a potential spy, every app a possible intruder, every convenience a small sacrifice of privacy that seemed insignificant until you added them all up. She finally fell asleep just before dawn, but her dreams were filled with blue light and the constant chirp of notifications, each one a reminder that in the modern world, you're never really alone. The next morning, Sarah's first instinct was to check her phone, to see if there was any trace of the night's events. There wasn't, but as she scrolled through her usual morning routine of social media and news, she noticed something she'd never paid attention to before. The small, green dot in the corner of her screen that indicated her camera was active. It was on, and she wasn't taking any photos.